Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to a new review. I'm joined by my Z Fighter in Arms, Major Rage. How you doing?
Doing great. Excited to talk about this new project.
That's right, because today, first time here on NerdTube, we are going to be reviewing a Dragon Ball, uh, a Dragon Ball episode. Now, in the past, me and Mage have talked about Dragon Ball and stuff like that, and we've done theory videos, blah blah blah. But this is the first opportunity we've actually had to review an episode. And so me and Mage sat down and said, you know what, we should probably talk about, Daima and see how it goes. So this is season 1, episode 1, if there's even going to be a season 2, called Conspiracy, where we get Goku babies or Dragon Ball babies. Dragon Ball babies. If you guys want to see more reviews from us of Dragon Ball, please leave a comment. And, depending on how popular it is, we may just record these once a week. We may do live reviews if it seems a lot of people are interested. We'll figure it out as we go along. But let's jump into the episode. I've already spent too much time. So if you're still here, thank you. So, Mage, overall thoughts. Dragon Ball Daima, episode 1. What did you think?
I was prepared to really detest this product. The trailers left a bad taste in my mouth. But getting into it, maybe just because we haven't got to the babies part yet, so far so good, is kind of my impression. A lot of rehashing, but getting us up to speed with where they've decided to set it. I feel like it's an interesting choice to set it before the start of Super. But I feel like that's a good choice. They have less to worry about interfering with and retconning and having to figure out, well, when in the breakneck set of events that are Super did this little side gig go down. And so setting it right after the end of the Boo fight, I feel like was a good decision.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I can't remember if it was 1 year or 5 years between the end of the Boo arc and the beginning of Super. I know they mentioned, it's been so long since I've watched the beginning of Super, I don't remember. But yeah, it does seem kind of, especially with the theme of this show, it does seem very natural for stuff that is going down to actually, this is the progression, because, we've got the conspiracy, which is, the new king of the demon realm. And, Deborah had just been dethroned, obviously, by Majin Buu. Well, not dethroned, but you know what I mean? Like killed by Majin Buu, which means the new king is here and together. Yeah, I mean, I did see, but this is my thing is like, we get this whole first episode, and it's like 10 minutes longer, but that 10 minutes is spent on recap. They do a beautiful job of recapping the Majin Buu arc. Beautiful, albeit pointless in my opinion. Like they could have,
but it looked amazing.
It did look amazing. You are correct, but they could have done like an episode promo video or like promo 0 with this, like take this 10 minutes and put it out on their website. And, and it could have been like, I feel like if you're going to give us an extra 10 minutes, give us an extra 10 minutes of content, not rehash, because they really went back and they rehashed the Boo saga. Like they didn't just go back and say, okay, Deborah's gone, this guy's taking over, this is what I know. They literally went from like, they even went back to the tournament part, or they went back to like even some Dragon Ball stuff. And talking about Raditz, like a little bit about Raditz, like just a little here and there, but it's like, good grief. Even if go ahead.
I was going to say, I could show this to Scarlet, and she's never really paid much attention to anything Dragon Ball, and she could be up to speed and watch it. Maybe not get everything that's going on, but it did enough of a job to where you could bring a new fan in with it.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
that's what they're hoping for.
And that is, but do we really if someone's not a Dragon Ball fan as of now, do we really think that this is going to bring like many new fans in? I mean, maybe, but I still think that, I don't know. I think it was a bit no, not absorbent. What's the word I'm looking for? Just it was a bit much. I would have rather have gotten maybe 5 minutes of recap, maybe even, and like getting an extra 5 minutes of content in the episode. You know, like
Find out
hmm?
more about who these find out more about who these new characters are, because so far just everything's a mystery.
Yeah, and I mean, mystery's okay, but because once we get caught up with the gang in this episode, I mean, it's kind of status quo. They're having a party, of course, because that's how Dragon Ball always starts. There's some
A
kind of
party at Capsule Corp.
party at Capsule Corp. They explain the how Kibito and Shin got defused.
Again, it's a
Again,
different story than last time.
yep. Well, I think there's two explanations. I think, and did they explain it in Super? I know they explained how Goku and Vegeta got defused because it's supposedly only lasts an hour,
For mortals,
for
yeah.
mortals, but but it's forever for the Kais. So so they had Boo eat them, which is kind of traumatic. I mean, I get it. Like, I'd probably go through it too if I knew I was going to be able to be defused, but from Kibito, because he's old. Don't tell Kibito, but he's old.
Something tells me he knows.
Yeah, right. But yeah. So just kind of back into the demon, like the Demon King and everything like that. So, what do you think of these new characters?
I don't know enough about them. They're funny. I like the comedy angle. It's very Toriyama,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like when you're going to do a show where you de-age your characters, leaning into comedy is going to serve you well, as opposed to having the spectacle and action that we're used to out of, kind of Z and Super. I feel like comedy's going to be a very good vehicle for this sort of thing.
Yes, very much
And
so.
Toriyama, he started out as a manga artist. Dr. Slump's a big comedy. Uh,
And I mean, and I can appreciate that. Like, I can appreciate Dragon Ball Daima being very like comedy focused, just because it's very Toriyama, and it's very, in line with what Toriyama's original vision for Dragon Ball was. I mean, you can see it from the very first, the Pilaf arc back in Dragon Ball, what it was, and it kind of got hijacked um, by Shueisha, to becoming this big fight manga. Which, I mean, I know he didn't mind the fighting, um, but yeah. So I don't know. With these new characters, I mean, so with the politics and everything like that in the Demon Realm, what do you think about? I know we haven't seen very much of the Demon Realm, but what do you think about the Demon Realm so far?
I like it. I like that they're looking at the cosmology of the Dragon Ball universe and taking stuff that's been said in like the guidebooks about the nature of it and showing it to us a little bit. And it's like the demon realm is this, it's outside and they have to come from it to come into our universe and then pass through that little gateway area to where they could get to the various different universes from it. Um, I thought it looked great aesthetically. It reminded me a lot of the castle from The World's Strongest,
Mm-hmm.
which
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I really like the vibes of that setting.
And I mean, it would be nice for them to maybe retroactively go back and, well, I guess that was a movie, so it's not canon. But it would be nice to see some crossover, and we did actually. One of my favorite parts of this episode was the fact that that they brought up the ears, and they said, "Listen, Nameks are from the demon realm," and we kind of knew, because I kind of always figured, because Namek, Piccolo was evil, Demon King Piccolo. So, but now it's confirmed that that Namekians are from the demon realm originally, because they got the pointy ears, and that means Mr. Popo is also from the demon realm. I just don't know how he is a descendant of somebody who originally came over, or for some reason he doesn't remember coming over. But I honestly would love to see that fleshed out.
I would love to see the mystery of Popo fleshed out more.
I don't care if it's a Dragon Ball short. You know what I mean? Like some kind of short trek, like a short trek, but for Dragon Ball, I would love it. Even if it's just a filler episode, I would love it. I think it would be amazing. Any thoughts on that revelation? I mean, I know it's kind of always been an unsaid thing from what I understand is that, Namekians are definitely from outside of the norm because they're in Universe 6, they're in Universe 7. There's all these kind of parallels with the demon realm with them. So I don't know if it's ever been mentioned maybe in Dragon Ball Heroes that's where they're from, but I don't follow Heroes.
I don't follow Heroes either. No, nothing too world shattering. I feel like it kind of does a good job of reconciling the whole Demon King aspect of the original Piccolo Daima or Daimao, sorry, and this and what we learned of Namekians later with them having a planet out in Universe 7.
Yep.
And,
But apparently this is the last Namekian in the demon realm. So maybe all of the Namekians migrated out of the demon realm for some reason into the normal realm. That's kind of an interesting thought as to why that would have happened.
It is. Maybe we will learn more about that as the show continues.
That would be they're making a big deal out of I can't remember the Namekian's name, but they are making a pretty big deal out of this guy. So I'm hoping that we do flesh out a little bit what the origins of the Namekian race. I do want to see that. So King Goma now is king because Deborah's gone. The demon realm Shin. What is he? It's a Shin Daima? No. Demon god. I don't know. Like the Shin's brother. So what are your thoughts on them like everybody being related? You know what I mean? Like I kind of thought that was eye rolly where I'm like, oh, okay, so the demon realm Shin and the normal verse Shin is brothers. Of course they are because they're related. And then they have a sister who, in my opinion, looks more like an angel, not a Shin, in my opinion. She just doesn't have the halo, but the hair and everything, like I thought she was going to be an angel.
Hair. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on like just does it matter to you? I mean, to me, it bugs me, but it's like it's not show breaking, but like
makes the universe feel small. And in a show that's about multiverses, the universe shouldn't feel so small.
Gotcha. And apparently, in the demon realm, they've got 3 Dragon Balls. They're bigger, kind of like but they've got 3 Dragon Balls, and they're guarded by these big robots. Now we've seen images of these robots, and and they're guarding instead of trying to get those balls, which are being guarded, that's why they decided to go over to the normal verse. And as we've mentioned before about the party and everything like that, I do love the jab. I love the jab at Vegeta, where it's like, Krillin's like, hey, Trunks, man, you're pretty short for 9 years old? Because it was Trunks' birthday. And then, it's like Krillin's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, Goku, you kind of shot up at a certain point too. And then Goku just without skipping a beat's like, yeah, Vegeta kind of stopped early, huh?
Vegeta just goes, are you starting to fight?
Yeah, right. He's like, listen, I got Bulma. I'm a short king, baby. You better watch out. I'm the short king, Vegeta.
He didn't stop eating. He's just like, I want to fight.
Yeah, right. I thought that was the moment in the episode where I just kind of busted out laughing. So we have a really pretty fight scene between, of course they finish eating. Goku's got this big gut that somehow magically disappears, and it's anime. And then they go and they want to train. So cool. We get a nice Dragon Ball Super level animation fight sequence, but not as long, but just like the animation style was very. And then we also get the Gallic Gun Kamehameha come together like usual. I mean, just a nice little sequence. What I mean, did you mark out for that, or was that kind of just like, hey, okay, they're training?
I was like, okay, we're getting some action in this first episode. They're trying to make things balanced. They're trying to make it a complete little Dragon Ball package, as it were. some new stuff, but something familiar for the old fans, so we're not like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah, right. Like,
Uh,
yeah, they try to throw a little bit of everything in there in the first step, which is good because that's what people want nowadays. And what in the first episode, they want to see all of the facets, at least in some form or another. So you got your comedy, your anime comedy, you've got your action, you've got your story, you've got whereas in the 80s and 90s, it was more like you have to get like through 3 or 4 episodes even to get a fight, like a Vegeta versus Kui fight. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
like I think in the first episode of Dragon Ball Z, all you got was like Raditz pretty much just like kick the crap out of Goku, and that's really the only action you got, I think, right? Like, I think you had to wait another episode before you even saw any action, like real action.
Yeah, the pacing was a lot slower back then.
Yeah. So the last point I want to bring up is on the lookout. So, which is obviously one of the last scenes of the episode. Unless you have anything else to bring up, but um, so we get King Goma, the Shin, the demon Shin, and I can't remember the name. I should have wrote it down. The old Namek's name, the demon Namek, and he comes and he reveals a couple of abilities that we never knew that the Guardians of Earth could ever do, or well, the Namekians who create Dragon Balls, the Dragon Clan. So apparently they can draw Dragon Balls to them, without even having to search for them, and they can just revitalize them like
Yeah,
it's nothing.
reset the cooldown.
Yeah, I kind of, I mean, we haven't seen what I know that they talked about a second and third wish, and they said something about a third eye, which is okay, probably some kind of powerful magic thing. But the third one, I think Shin was asking for the third one. What do you think that's going to be? You think that's going to be nefarious towards the king? Do you think that the demon Shin is going to wish for like Goma to be locked in a eternal cage, or something like open the dead zone and knock him in there, or something? That would be hilarious. I would mark out if they open the dead zone and he just knocks him in there.
Knocks him in there, but we get Garlic Jr. back.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean just because the dead zone opens means that Garlic Jr.'s popping out, but that would be crazy. That's a tangent right there. There, a what if.
What
Right
if?
there.
What if Garlic Jr. came back a third time?
Mm-hmm. I liked Garlic Jr. That's a topic for another day. That's a good Dragon Ball topic. Is why Garlic Jr. is not bad. We can talk about that some other time.
Yes.
So yeah, what do you think about so throughout all of Dragon Ball Super, I was trying to think of instances where these abilities that Dende saw, so maybe he didn't learn them, but this is kind of one of those points where it's like, okay, prequelitis here. It's like he saw these abilities, he knows they exist, and granted, he may not have learned them, but it's just like, is there any part in Super that this might have been handy? And I've been trying to think of an instance where in Dragon Ball where this might have come up, where it's just like, we've seen it now in this prequel of Super, but obviously this wasn't written until after Super was over.
Nothing's jumping out at me, but
Yeah, I was trying
I'm
to
sure
think.
I'm sure there's some point at which they had to like go to. Didn't they go to the future to use the Dragon Balls there during the Goku Black arc?
No, there are
Or
no
were
Dragon
they
Balls in
all?
the future.
They were gone.
Well, they
That's
use
right.
the Super Dragon Balls, right?
Yeah, but that was for a wish that was beyond the power of the normal Dragon Balls. So these little tricks wouldn't have helped them in that situation.
Dende didn't mention it because he didn't want Bulma to know that he can do that. Because then when Bulma, do you remember in what was it,
There's
Superhero? When
yeah,
Bulma was when Bulma was
is
wishing for tight bottom and up,
get
no
rid,
rink.
but yeah, get rid of her crow's feet.
Yeah, you know that she would just be sitting there locking Dende in a cage and be like she would make her 3 wishes, and then she'd be like, call them back and revitalize them now. Oh no.
Yeah, don't mess with Bulma, man.
I
Don't
know,
mess with
right?
Bulma.
Um, so yeah, so that's kind of episode one in a nutshell. I mean, do you have any other things you really want to bring up? Just just to talk about really quick. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I saw that kind of was like, we obviously have not gotten into the Dragon Ball babies of it all. Do you think this is going to be different than GT because there like a ton of them are babies?
I think so. I having more than just Goku to be the punchline of these small jokes will give it room to work with. We can really look at the Vegeta and Goku dynamic. I feel like if they're both little, it'll add a layer to that, I feel like. Because in a lot of ways they are very much like brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And the rivalry that they have is very much like a sibling rivalry. And I feel
And
like
oh, go ahead.
I feel like having them be little will make that more apparent. And when something is brought to the forefront for an audience, it lets the creator kind of explore it easier instead of having to try to. It leads the horse to water, so you don't have to try it as hard to get them to analyze it and make them drink.
Yeah. I I agree. So I agree with you on that. I think that it's going to be because Vegeta's kind of like Vegeta is older than Goku, so it does feel like it's like Vegeta's the older brother, but he's got that first kid itis, where because Goku's always stronger than him, at least in some aspects. You know what I mean? Like I would say they're always usually kind of one upping one another, but Vegeta always feels like his, even if his little brother is like this close to him, and even though he's still above him, he's still not far enough ahead of him. You know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of like that older brother, being threatened by the younger sibling rivalry. You know what I mean? Like unless he dominates, it's not good enough. And I don't mean dominate like, take over the world. I mean just dominate like, he could beat him at any given point without any threat. And I think Vegeta's kind of past that. But so the one missed opportunity, this is the last thing I'm going to bring up, is Trunks and Goten. So, when they're making the wishes and they say, oh, what do you want? What age do we want them to be? Okay, first graders. Okay, whatever. So they're like what, like 7, 6, something like that. Keep in mind that is younger than even when we started in Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, what do you want to make the kids? And it's like babies. And I'm like, you kind of have a missed opportunity here because Trunks is 9 right now. So you have a kind of a missed opportunity where you have Trunks and Goten, who technically could be older than Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, and all of them. Maybe not wiser, obviously, because I don't think they're supposed to lose their memories, mentality, or anything like that. They're far weaker because of their reduced in age. But like you have kind of a missed opportunity here for Trunks and Goten to kind of be like, hey, we're older than you guys now, like
We're in charge.
yeah. Maybe not we're in charge, but like it kind of puts them all on the same level. But now it's like I feel like they nerfed Trunks and Goten. Just they nerfed them just because it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do with Trunks and Goten? Well, let's make them babies, like actual babies. And I'm like, and I get it. If they would have taken Trunks with them, it would have been very GT. But I'm like, this is a point for your side characters to shine because everybody's more on an even level.
Yeah,
So,
that even playing field kind of let everybody shine.
yeah. So, and then we'll talk more if we do subsequent reviews about Gohan. Not even in this episode, and I get it. He's he just had a movie, but then the excuse is he's studying. Okay, that's the typical Gohan excuse. I wouldn't have mind seeing the Gohan in this. I mean, Gohan's at home studying, and now he's a kid because the Dragon Ball wish was for everybody who fought or defeated Boo or fought Boo or whatever. And it's like, well, Gohan now is going to turn into a kid, so maybe we will see him. Maybe he'll fly, to Bulma's and be like, "What's going on, Dad?"
Maybe he'll get on Icarus for old time's sake.
Oh, not Icarus. I always wanted Goku to eat Icarus.
All right, Team 4-star.
Right? I'm gonna eat him. Okay, so overall, let's rank it because that's what we do here. What would you give episode 1 in a vacuum as a Dragon Ball fan? Well, what would you give episode 1?
I'm gonna give it a 7. It's serviceable. I don't know enough yet to give it higher, but there's nothing so egregious to make me rate it lower. I feel like in a vacuum, it's a pretty solid episode, though it could benefit from more exposition down the line.
And very fitting that you gave it a 7. You know,
it's a number of Dragon Balls and everything.
Yeah. But I do agree. I would also give it a 7. Very serviceable. I thought it was a good first episode, but it will depend on how this goes from here with the Dragon Ball babies and how bad it is. You know, I mean, if they write it well, like, I don't mind this being, I go back and forth on this. I'm not going to lie. Cause I know I've said both sides, like where I'm like, I don't mind if they redo GT as long as they do it well. And then, but then on the other hand, I'm like, I don't want GT, you know, like, but I just want a good show. And if they do this well, and they don't make it the Goku show, which GT was, it was basically the Goku show, you know, then, as long as they do right by most of the characters, I'm okay. And since they're turning all of the characters into babies, there's potential here for everybody to be involved. Now, I'm sure some will get left behind. I'm sure Krillin, Roshi, Tien, like I'm sure some of them won't be on this adventure. Obviously, Goten and Trunks, but if they at least give shine to more side characters than just Vegeta and Goku, I'm okay. I think I'll be okay with this. I'm not going to say it's going to blow my socks off, but I'll be okay with it.
At the end of the day, I'm glad that we're getting some more Dragon Ball from Toriyama.
Before his passing, yes.
Before his passing, and, out of respect, I'm going to try to give it as much of a shot as I can.
Yeah.
And just remember that he had spent so much of his career having editorial meddling make him not make the art he wanted to make. Just appreciate the art that he did get to make at the end.
Yep.
For what it is.
And this does seem very Toriyama. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, this is probably going to be very Toriyama. So... All right, Mage. Well, I think that wraps up for episode 1. Everybody out there in YouTube land, please let us know what you thought about episode 1. Let us know what you thought about our review. If you did, please leave a comment. And as I said, if you guys are interested on NerdTube and if you're subscribed, and if you want to see more of Dragon Ball reviews from us, and let us know. But with all that being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We are NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you've kind of maybe sort of heard of. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.